All right, welcome back to Brazilian Wood Depot's YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to clean and oil your Brazilian hardwood deck. We get a lot of questions about this, a lot of phone calls about how you do this, and we do have some great documents online. I will put a link down in the description that will tell you everything that I'm about to say and probably quite a bit more detail. So let's get started. Again, what we're talking about is how to clean and oil your Brazilian hardwood deck to maintain the color so it doesn't turn gray and silver, which some people like it to do, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with letting it gray and silver. It's not going to affect the structural integrity at all. But if you do want to keep it the colors that you see, especially here behind me on the samples, this is the exact way to do it. There are other methods. I'm only going to tell you the best products to use. There are other products that work okay and work pretty well. I'm going to tell you what we found is the best products to use and what we think you should use. And if you have a nice Brazilian hardwood deck, it doesn't make sense to use anything but the best products. So I'm going to go over exactly what we found to be the best over the last 15 years of working with these woods. So here we go.
All right, so let's first go over the products that you'll need to clean and oil your deck, starting with the cleaner. So this is Messmer's Wood in Deck Renewer and Brightener. There are other cleaners out there that I'm sure work fairly well. This is what we found works the best in our 15 years of doing this. As you can see, it's kind of a green color liquid, and you're meant to mix this with water. The directions are on the back of this label, and you'll mix it into something like this. This is a plastic pump sprayer. Typically you're using this for weeding or something like that, but it works perfectly well if you're doing your own deck. Now if you're doing a really large deck, or you're going to do other people's deck and try to make some money, you're going to probably want to invest in a pressure washer with a mixer in it. You can just cover more area with it. That's about it. But if you're doing your own deck, this is usually sufficient to be able to do that. You'll also want some sort of a scrubber brush. Typically, there'll be 2-inch plastic bristles. Something about this large is right. I'd say this is about 6 inches long. These bristles are a little bit longer than is probably ideal. Again, about 2 inches is about right, just so you can get in there and really scrub into the pores of the wood. The reason I have an orbital here is if the deck has been neglected for many years and it really needs some TLC, you'll probably want to use an orbital with 80 grit sandpaper. I'll get into that at the end. For most folks that are doing their annual cleaning and oiling, you won't need this. But again, I'll get into this later. And then finally, your oil. Now, there are certainly other products out there on the market that I'm sure work pretty well. I want to tell you what we think the best product is, and that's Messmer's UV Plus Natural. Now, I have natural color here as well as red mahogany and Oxford brown. These don't have a whole lot of variation when you're using it on a darker wood like, for instance, Massaranduba or Ipe or Cumaru. You can kind of tell the difference when you put it on something lighter like Garapa, but it's negligible. Certainly, we feel that the best one is the natural color. Again, that's Messmer's UV Plus Natural. It has a little bit of color to it, but it really is just going to saturate the wood and make those grains stand out and, again, protect the color. Because without a UV protectant, the wood is going to turn gray, it's going to turn silver, which, again, some people like that. But if you want to keep it looking like the samples behind me, you need to use a UV protectant. So we recommend Messmer's UV Plus Natural Color. Now, for applying the oil, you can use just a old cotton t-shirt. We found works really well, particularly if it's a smaller area, because you will obviously have to get down on your hands and knees to apply it with something like this. If you're doing a larger area, you can use a deck pad. Shoreline makes a really good deck pad that's very effective. It's basically a rectangular pad at the end of a pole. I'll put up a picture here. You can pick that up at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's. Really, everywhere carries them. So again, let's go through the products. You've got your Messmer's Wood in Deck Renewer and Brightener. You got your plastic pump sprayer, plastic bristle brush, hard bristles on that so you can really get in there. Orbital sanders only if the deck's been neglected for several years, and I'll get into that in the end. And then UV Plus Natural. That's what we recommend. Your applier can be a cotton t-shirt or, like I said, the deck pad. So let's get into how this works. All right, so you've got all the products that you need now. Let's go through a few different scenarios of different deck conditions, because the condition of the deck is going to determine what process you need to go through. So the first condition I'm going to go through is if you've got a brand new deck, it's just installed, the installer didn't want to oil it for you, so you kind of left on your own. That's not terribly uncommon. So you've got deck boards on your deck that kind of look like this, but you really want them to look like this, and you don't want them to gray out. You want to keep that natural color. This is just a sample of Ipe where I've applied the Messmer's UV Plus oil on one side, nothing on the other. So again, you want it to look like this and not gray out. You want it to keep it looking like the samples behind me. Of course, this process is not only for Ipe, it's for all 6 of the species we carry. So first you want to make sure the deck doesn't have anything on it. No leaves, no sawdust, no debris of any kind whatsoever. You got a clean deck and you're ready to go. So simply take your oil and your applicator, which again can be a old cotton t-shirt, works very well. Or if it's a larger deck, you can use a deck pad. Again, I'll tack up an image of a Shoreline deck pad that works really well. So when applying this oil, you need to make sure not to leave any excess oil on the deck. So if you're using a deck pad especially, don't over apply the oil. If you do, if you notice that there are little puddles, go ahead and wipe it up quickly with your cotton rag. You should keep this handy if you're oiling your deck, even if you have a deck pad, because you're gonna probably need to wipe up some excess oil. If you leave the excess oil on the deck, it's gonna turn tacky, and it really doesn't go away. It just leaves a kind of a sticky residue. It's not good. So make sure to pick up any excess oil. Also, if you're using a deck pad, you might not be getting in between the board's rounded edges, so this works really well. Also, you can use a paintbrush and kind of get in between those boards. Make sure that there's not going to be any rain in the next 36 hours after you've oiled your deck. It will mess up the finish, kind of put little spots in it, and you'll have to do it again. So if it's a new deck, you don't really have to use any of these products over here. You're just going to go straight to your oil. Making sure there's no debris, no sawdust. Apply your oil again with your cotton rag, your deck pad, not leaving any excess, making sure there's no rain after 36 hours. Now, you'll probably need to do this one more time 6 months later. This new wood likes to soak it up fairly quickly, so go through that same exact process again 6 months later. If you're noticing the board's becoming a little, again, washed out, it's less saturated, do the same process again. And then after that 6-month application, probably won't need to do it again until the next year. Typically, folks are doing that in the springtime because they want their deck to look nice all summer, and then every spring from there on out. All right, the next situation you might find yourself in and the condition of your deck would be that, let's say it was maybe oiled right when it was installed, and then after that you kind of let it go. You've neglected it for 2 or 3 years, and it's weathered significantly, and you're wondering, well, can I bring it back to its original condition? The answer is absolutely yes. But let's say now, not only has it grayed out, but some leaves have fallen and kind of decayed on the wood a little bit, leaving some dirt in certain places. Now we're going to get into how to clean it. So again, you're going to use Messmer's Wood and Deck Renewer and Brightener. Mix that with water as stated on the back of the label in your plastic pump spray, or again, you can absolutely use a pressure washer. They both work the same. If it's your own deck, this is absolutely sufficient. So put your solution of cleaner and water in your pump spray. You want to, again, make sure there's no debris on the deck. Make sure it's swept off, no sawdust, anything like that. Use your wand, get the deck very, very wet. And you want to make sure you're getting it very wet and not letting it dry, because then as it's wet, maybe let it sit 20 or 30 minutes. Take your bristled brush, and you're going to need to get down on your hands and knees and give it a good scrub. Now, there are also plastic brushes on poles that can work. I usually use so much pressure that I end up breaking the pole, so I prefer to get down on my hands and knees, again with like a 2-inch length bristles, and really get in there. And that's going to be the hardest part of this process, is really scrubbing the dirt out of the wood. So after you scrub the dirt out of the wood, you're really done with the cleaner and solution. You spray it off really well. Make sure all of that dirt that you scrubbed out of the pores is off the deck, and now let the deck dry. Once the deck is dry, you're going to go through the same process. Get your applicator, cotton rag, again, or your deck pad. Apply the oil, not leaving too much excess, making sure that there's not going to be rain in the next 36 hours, and then you're done. That's how to clean your deck. If it's maybe 2 or 3 years, probably up to 5 years old, that is the most effective process for bringing a deck back to life. And we've seen decks come back from far more than 5 years old with this process, bringing it back to 85, 90, even 95% of what it was when it was originally installed. So that's how you do it. If your deck's a few years old and it's been neglected, not having a clean, not having oil for 3, 5, maybe even 6 years. All right, so the last scenario we're going to go over is the deck has been neglected for many years. We're talking 8, 10, 12, even 15 years. I've heard people going 15 years and they've never done anything to their Brazilian hardwood deck. And now it's not only weathered, but there's a significant amount of dirt in it, and you lost the complete color of the wood. It's now gone from silver to a dark gray color, and it's pretty far gone. And now you're wondering, well, certainly I can't bring it back now. That's not true. You can absolutely bring it back. It's going to take a little bit more TLC, but it's really, really not that hard. So first, there are a couple different methods. I'm going to tell you the method that we use, and that is going to be start with your cleaner. The same process as I just mentioned. You're going to mix the cleaner with the water into your pump sprayer, wet the deck, of course, the cleaned off deck, no debris or anything, no leaves like that. Wet your deck with this solution from your pump sprayer. Get in there and start scrubbing. Use your scrubber that I mentioned before and get in there and start cleaning. Once you've scrubbed the whole deck and you've got up a lot of the dirt, make sure you spray it off really well, because once it dries, we're going to use, going back to this sander. An orbital sander works very well. You can also use a belt sander. That's no problem if it's a larger deck, but these are pretty cheap and are a good investment if you've got a nice Brazilian hardwood deck. Nice little, this is a Ryobi orbital sander. The sandpaper you're going to use is 80 grit. So this is 80 grit sandpaper. It's just perfect in taking off exactly what you need off of your deck. So after you've scrubbed it, and now after you have sanded your deck, some folks say that they like to clean it again and give it another scrub. That's usually not necessary. You can do it if you want to. Typically, that's not what we do, because it's just not necessary. So spray off your deck. Make sure, or you can use a blower. Make sure there's no dust left on the deck. Just remove the dust in any way you can. That can be using a broom, again a blower, or you can spray it off. Once you let that dry off, if you did use water, now it's time to go back to your oil. Again, applicator, cotton rag, or old t-shirt, deck pad, again, not leaving too much residue, and making sure that there's not going to be any rain in the next 36 hours. With this process, you will be able to bring your deck back up to 80-90% of what it was when it was originally installed, and now you've got what looks like a brand new deck. All of your friends think, wow, this is great. He got a new deck installed, when really all you did was you really just brought it back to life. So there you go. That was all the scenarios that you really need to know about in maintaining the look and color of your Brazilian hardwood deck. Again, that goes for all the species that we carry: Ipe, Cumaru, Massaranduba, Purpleheart, Tigerwood, and Garapa. This process works for all of them. So please like and share this video. I'm going to be back in another week with another video regarding Brazilian hardwoods, but that's it. We are Brazilian Wood Depot, located in Atlanta, Georgia. We maintain and stock, again, 6 species of Brazilian hardwoods for decking, siding, and flooring. Please feel free to give us a call, 770-242-0045, or email us at info@bwdepot.com. And again, all of this is online on our website, www.bwdepot.com. You can print out the instructions straight from our Documents tab, which will be really helpful for you to maintain your deck. Thanks for watching.
So a couple other things I failed to mention in this video is, one, we carry the Messmer's, both of the Messmer's products mentioned in the video, both the UV oil and the deck cleaner. So if you need that, you can contact us. Contact information below. Also, I did say we a lot of the time in the video, referring to cleaning and oiling decks. We, Brazilian Wood Depot, we do not clean and oil decks. Now, however, if you do need your deck maintained, we can provide references. I've done it in the past, and several others of us have have done it in the past, but in general, that's just not a service that we provide. However, we can certainly forward you to the right person. If you are in the Atlanta or Metro Atlanta area, we can usually refer someone to you. But again, thank you so much for watching. Really hope this has helped you all trying to figure out how to maintain your Brazilian hardwood deck. Again, go to our website, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again with more videos.